Come on in, guys. Welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we're talking about the most cold-blooded vote-offs in Survivor history. In Survivor, you gotta vote people out. That's the game everyone knows they signed up for. But sometimes, vote-outs go above and beyond normal gameplay. They get personal. They really betray trust. What I'm saying is, there's your average run-of-the-mill vote, then there's these, which all require a particular killer instinct that you either have or you don't. Some people you'd expect to have that killer instinct, like Boston Rob and Russell, are here. But there are also players you think wouldn't be capable of such cold-blooded, personal backstabbing, and yet here we are. Before we go any further, I want to note that just because someone pulled off a particularly brutal blindside doesn't make them, like, a bad person or anything. I make no judgment call on the moral character of those playing a game for a life-changing amount of money. I generally think everything is fair in Love and Survivor, and come on, we all know where the moral line is. That all said, let's count down the top 5 most brutal, most cold-blooded vote-offs in Survivor history. At number 5 is Danielle's elimination in Survivor Heroes vs. Villains, spearheaded by Russell. Since early on at Villain Beach, Russell, Parvati, and Danielle have been a strong trio, somehow managing to turn an alliance deficit of 6-3 into full control of the villain camp. And up until episode 12 of Heroes vs. Villains, these three plan to go to the end with each other. But that all ends when Russell gets unexpectedly jealous of Parvati and Danielle's relationship and tries to manufacture a feud between the two of them by falsely telling Parvati that Danielle wants to vote her out, so that he has an excuse to target Danielle. Of course, Parvati and Danielle immediately compare notes and realize that Russell is trying to stir up trouble, honestly to the detriment of his own game, as Danielle is literally the only person left in the game that he has a shot to beat. Look at Colby when Russell tells him he's voting Danielle.
It's only one thing that has to happen today, and that's Danielle go home. Really? Really?
Even he's like, "You're sure, dude? You're sure?" It's a move fueled entirely by jealousy and seems to have no rational basis whatsoever. I think this is the point where 70-something straight days of playing Survivor with only a 2-week break in between seasons caught up to Russell. He just wasn't thinking straight, and you can literally see the loss of sanity and rationality in his eyes. But Jerry joins in the blindside fun, and Colby and Rupert obviously jump on the opportunity. So Danielle goes from early game ally who joined up with Russell when almost everyone else wanted him out, to member of the jury in the span of an afternoon.
Is it feeling personal to you?
Yeah, Jeff, it is. The 4th most cold-blooded vote ever on Survivor is Brenda's blindside by Dawn at the final 6 of Survivor Caramoan. Brenda and Dawn had a close relationship in the second half of Caramoan. This was built upon a genuinely beautiful act of human decency by Brenda when she dove to the bottom of a lagoon to recover Dawn's lost retainer. You can tell just how self-conscious Dawn is about her missing teeth, and Brenda stepped outside of the game for a moment and did something that I'd like to think we'd all do for anyone. Brenda and Dawn are so bonded by this experience that a few episodes later, at the family visit, Brenda wins the challenge and chooses Dawn to share the loved one's reward, until Jeff gives her the opportunity for her and Dawn to give up their loved one's visit so the other 4 remaining players can spend time with their loved ones, which Brenda obviously does because jury management. Brenda again comforts a frustrated and distraught Dawn, while the remaining players enjoy burgers and beers on a boat within eye and earshot.
It's just okay. You're not missing much. Thank you, Brenda.
You know, the polite thing to do would be to not rub it in their faces. Anyway, Cochran realizes he can pull off a 3-2-1 to take out Brenda instead of perennial target Eddie, and just needs Dawn on side. Dawn rationalizes the betrayal by saying that Brenda is a pretty big jury threat, sure, and takes out her emotional rock who'd comforted her time and time again. The 3rd most brutal elimination in Survivor history is the second blindside of Matt in Survivor Redemption Island. Alrighty, Matt's first blindside in Redemption Island was fair game. After Ometepe lost the episode 2 immunity challenge, Matt went over to Zapatera and... hold on, let me check my notes here. shook their hands. For the crime of good sportsmanship, he was sent to Redemption Island. Incredibly, Matt won 6 duels in a row to re-enter the game at the merge, and everyone's like, okay, yeah, let's give this kid a mulligan on the first post-merge vote. Mike, the de facto leader of Zapatera, tries to pull in Matt to vote with them, which Matt flirts with the idea of, but touchingly decides to stay true to his faith and the rest of his former tribe mates.
I'm with y'all. I want to continue relationships with our tribe.
Wrong! Matt, flip! Matt foolishly makes the mistake of telling Boston Rob he was considering betraying him, and Rob rallies the troops to take out a variable, flex his ironclad grip on Ometepe, and give Matt a one-way ticket back to Redemption Island.
Let the fireworks begin.
I hate to agree with David Murphy, but when you're right, you're right. At number 2 is Kathy's elimination at the Final 3 of Survivor Marquesas. Okay, fast forward to the Final 4 of Marquesas. Vecepia has immunity and is at an impasse. She can basically join Nalia and Pascal in voting out Kathy, or side with Kathy, force a tie, and see what happens. V and Kathy seal the deal on a Final 2 alliance right then and there at Tribal Council, roll the dice on the tiebreaker, and Pascal draws the dreaded purple rock and is voted out by random chance, essentially sealing the deal on a Kathy and Vecepia Final 2. But at the Final 3 challenge, V, Kathy, and Florence Pugh and Midsummer do the old hand on an idol challenge to see who gets to take who to the Final 2. After Kathy drops out of the challenge, V doesn't even let her sit down before stone-faced cutting a Final 2 deal with Nalia instead, which Nalia accepts instantly, and then they both step off. This happens literally within seconds of Kathy dropping out. I'm not even sure Kathy was completely processing what was even happening. Nalia casts the eliminating vote for Kathy at Final 3, but it's V's complete and utter lack of remorse, and the fact that she didn't even try to pretend that betraying Kathy was a hard decision, that seals the deal on this being one of the coldest moves in Survivor history. Where was Vecepia on Winners at War again? The coldest vote in Survivor history is Lex's vote off in Survivor AllStars. Before we get to the elimination itself, I need to provide the proper historical context for Survivor AllStars. In those early days of Survivor, a great deal of the players from seasons 1 through 7 knew each other, hung out frequently, even dated. Just ask Ethan. Playing on Survivor was and still is a very exclusive experience, the kind of thing that you can't really understand unless you've been through it. So for those early players who were also reckoning with their very sudden fame, being around other former survivors gave you a friend to talk to who could understand an experience only a little over 100 people had even had. And 2 cross-season players who were particularly close were Lexs and Boston Rob. Anyway, as AllStars progressed, the game got very dirty very quickly, with very real betrayals of real-life friendships, notably Lexs voting out Colby and Ethan. At Final 10, there's a tribe swap, which incredibly sees everyone swapping tribes except Amber. As the new Shapira tribe heads to Tribal Council, Rob says a few words to Lexs that probably still haunt his dreams.
If you can.
Lexs sticks true to his deal with Rob and votes out Jerry instead of Amber, in part because he hopes to join with Rob and Amber after the merge, but also because Rob is his real-life friend. Rob repays that foolish favor at the merge by immediately targeting Lexs, who is the figurehead of Mogo Mogo and easily Rob's toughest strategic competition left. Watching Rob tell Lexs he's toast is genuinely uncomfortable. It's like being a fly on the wall during a very bitter breakup. Dang, I've been Rob, Lexs, and even Kathy in this situation before. Never be home while your roommate is getting dumped, guys. However, I can't not mention that all this outrage is pretty rich coming from Lexs, who was blindsiding his real-life friends left and right, but that's neither here nor there. That night, under a very cinematic downpour, Rob completes his transformation from plucky construction worker into the Rob father, and a very bitter Lexs is sent to swim with the fishes. Figuratively, at Ponderosa. Got nothing else for ya. To keep the YouTube algorithm from cold-bloodedly dumping me, like and subscribe and I'll get you more Survivor content just like this. Until next time, don't get idled out.